taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
Well. Welcome back into Celtics Post Game Live. I am your host, Rob Hitte, and I am with my co-host, Justin Lowe. We are waiting for Seamus and Ian to join us shortly. The Boston Celtics defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 98-92 kind of a brawl, I'd call it. I mean, it wasn't a pretty game. The Celtics get the job done. You know, Boston did not come out strong at all. They were down 2 at halftime. Cleveland, I believe, started off to I want to say a 20-9 lead.
Yep.
And Boston eventually, kind of picked in, stuck in it and found their way back in the game. Tatum led the all Celtic scorers with 23 points. He had 8 rebounds and 5 assists to go along with that. He also, contributed on the defensive end, 2 blocks, 1 steal. Another short, poor shooting performance from Tatum. 35% from the field, 25 from 3. He did shoot 7 for 7 from the line, which is an improvement. He's been struggling there as well. Did have a positive plus-minus. Horford played awesome. He has 17, 9, and 3. Almost hit the over. Didn't quite hit it, though, with those 3 assists. He shot a very efficient 7 for 10. Obviously, Robert Williams did not return the second half. Justin, how are we feeling after this win?
Well, I'm feeling a lot damn better than what I felt Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Celtics, 46% shooting. Missed a lot of open looks, which was my key to the game. Get to hit open looks. I like the ball movement tonight, 23 assists, but 14 turnovers, a little bit sloppy possessions. I think that's what hurt the Celtics as to why they didn't score over 100 was because they turned the ball over a lot. And again, I thought their rebounding, was expected tonight. They were expected to out-rebound. Three of the 5 guys on the injury report were forward/centers. Obviously, Celtics had to have a huge adjustment in the second half. We had to see somebody like Enes Kanter, who has barely played any minutes other than what we've seen from him in the preseason. So Ime Udoka really had to kind of mess with the lineups in the second half. Luckily, the Celtics were able to pull this one out. This one was obviously a lot more close throughout the whole game. Like you said, Cavs did pull out up to a 11-point advantage in the first quarter. Luckily, though, Boston, their defense just continues to be tremendous. And I'm not even sure that's a good word to use for that. I feel like it's very kind of underwhelming kind of for that term. But Celtics able to hold off the Cavs to just 92 points. Shetty Osman just hit an insane 3. It was originally 89, but he had this insane 3 towards the end of the game. And, 98-92. You take what you can get. Celtics back at 500.
Yeah, a win's a win. What are you going to do? We didn't look offensively the best. We really haven't looked great offensively yet this season. Game against the Charlotte, I thought we looked great. And I want to say a game against Milwaukee, we looked good offensively, I thought. We put up 122 points. I would have liked to see us winning in a commanding fashion. However, you can't complain about a loss, especially, Cleveland's a team that's was on a streak. They're at home. They were 9-5 entering tonight. Boston, like we said, going back to 500 at 7-7. We got Atlanta coming up on the road. Hopefully we can get a dub back, on the road. And then we're coming back to TD to play the Lakers to finish the week off on Friday night. Is Tatum kind of starting to worry you, or are you not worried yet?
I'm not worried just yet. I'm not worried at all. I thought tonight, actually, I actually said this before. Scalabrini said this on the broadcast. He's easily played his best game since Dallas. I thought he was ultra aggressive tonight. Yes, his shooting woes do continue. I really liked how he put his head down. He was aggressive. He was very active defensively, which was one of his most active defensive games I've seen from him in a while. The effort was there. For me, it's been more of an effort problem. Yes, his shooting has just been horrid to start off the season, but I'm not too worried about that yet. But I'm very, very relieved to see his kind of energy and his effort really take a turn, because in the first, I'd say I don't want to go crazy, but first maybe 5 to 7 games, we were questioning if, Jason Tatum even liked playing here. I mean, his effort was just horrid. Was it a Tatum and Brown thing? Was it a Tatum and Smart thing? Tatum Udoka thing? I think, right now, I kind of lived with how Jason Tatum played tonight, especially, getting the win.
For sure. And I think that's what's most important here down the stretches. We're 6 games away. We're about a week and a half, 2 weeks away from that mark where we make the final assumption on a team, right? Air quotes. Like I said, 20 games in is when I'm going to kind of finally assess this team where I think it's going to go. We look at the past. Let me count them out. At what? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games, right? We're 5-3. 2 games over 500. That's solid, right? Not the best, but that's solid. You can't complain about that. We have played, I would say, in those losses, we played 3 bad quarters of basketball. We played a bad fourth quarter that lost us that Bulls game, a bad first quarter that lost us that Dallas game, and a bad fourth quarter that lost us that Cleveland game, right? So I'm sitting here 5-3, and I'm thinking, maybe, I don't know. Like I said, we're pretty close to the part where we can make our assumption on this team. I don't know what to think because, we do look good, but, offensively, we're 14 games in, right? We're approaching a month into the season, and we're still pretty flat offensively. Yes, Jaylen Brown's out. Hopefully we'll have him back in Atlanta. But, obviously you just got here, but offensively, what do we got to start seeing so we can really start saying this team can get to the next level?
We got to see this team, figure it out, man. I don't really even know how else to say it. They're not good on offense at all right now. Now, I mean, it feels like ever since that Magic game, I don't know, maybe a little after that, but it feels like ever since then, their defense has picked up a lot, but their offense has been struggling.
Yeah.
They have not been able to put together any good games, it feels like. I mean, the Dallas game, they were pretty okay, I would say. But other than that, I mean, they're not doing good. They can't. I don't know what it is. It feels like they're all in their own way, especially tonight. Everyone was in their own way tonight, it felt like, and turning the ball over. And I mean, we've been saying these turnovers have been the problem all season long, and they're still a problem. But I don't really know what the Celtics do right now. They looked good offensively when we started the season. Maybe when we get Jaylen Brown back, our offense will be a little bit more consistent. But I don't really know where the Celtics go from here. And I know we said 20 games is the benchmark of where we're going to assess this team, but we might have to go 30 or 40 because this team is still really inconsistent.
That right there, going 30 to 40 games into the season, that right there tells you what kind of team this is. That right there tells you what kind of team this is. I mean, 40 games into the season, you're talking halfway into the season, and you're still trying to figure it out. That just kind of right from there. I mean, just like last year, how many times did we say, this team's just figuring it out? This team's just figuring it out. That's not going to work right now. I think a big problem is and I don't know what it is about the Celtics offensively. Like I said, they've been getting themselves some amazing looks, and they just can't hit it. And I don't know if it's these adjustments. I don't know if it's a certain plays and they're coming off the dribble, or I just don't know what is happening to the Celtics, and especially Tatum. Wide open shots to them seem to be a trouble. I mean, I saw a few circus shots. I saw a shot from Josh Richardson and a circus shot from Marcus Smart go in, but the Celtics are standing there wide open with 24 seconds to gather themselves, they'll just completely brick it. And I just don't know what the excuses are. I don't know if there are any excuses for those guys. It continues to kind of stick in my head, and it's all right, well, when is this switch going to flip on? Because we have nights where the Celtics look amazing defensively, and then we have nights where the Celtics look amazing offensively. but we just haven't been able to get that in one night. Although, yes, Celtics are pulling out the same amount of wins as losses, we just have still struggled to figure out how to play a good game offensively and a good game defensively.
I think that,
Well, when have we ever heard that before? Like, I mean, how much longer are we going to be saying that? Because,
hopefully not. Hopefully not 40 games.
Hold on.
Hope we can get it.
Pump the brakes, everyone, because like I said, right now the Boston Celtics are 5-3 in their last 8 games. In all 3 losses, you could argue that they should have won. They should have beat the Bulls, they should have beat the Mavs, and they should have beat the Cavs last game, right? And offensively, yeah, we have not been the best, but defensively, we've been elite. We've been an elite defensive team. So, you asking for an elite offense and an elite defense is a lot to ask for.
But what was this?
I just want a competent offense.
How did this conversation start? We started talking about how the Celtics offense has struggled.
It's struggled, but it's struggled, but I don't think it's struggled to a max. I think the only struggle that there's been is Jason Tatum. You look at that, Schroeder's played great. Horford offensively's played great. Richardson, another great game off the bench. Yes, Smart's not making his open threes. Sure. Grant Williams, he gave us 11 tonight. Grant Williams, mind you, he's our 7th option. So it's not.
Ennis gave us 5. Don't forget Ennis.
Yeah, it's not the Boston Celtics struggling offensively. It's that there's about a 10 to 12 point gap that Jason Tatum's not giving us, that is setting apart our offense from being very good to just okay right now. Right now, we're an okay offensive team. Right? Jason Tatum had stretches, throughout this game where, he was attacking the hoop well, he was getting fouls. But, I mean, look at the box score. Your bench gave you 30 points off the bench. That's a great game off. Your bench gives you 30 points. You ought to think, Smart gives you 14. Great. Schroeder, 14. Awesome. Horford, 17. Those are good numbers from your players. It's Tatum at 23. Tatum in a game like this, he's got to have 32. And that's where you say that 9 points, that's the difference between 98. And that's the difference between a 98 to 92 win and a 107 to 92 win. And I think that's the difference the Boston Celtics are feeling this season, especially with Brown out of the lineup. Tatum has to step up.
Well, this is just another game where, I'm happy that we got the win. And I'm happy how we pulled it out at the end, because it was not a guarantee, mind you, at the end at all. I mean, it was, a 1-point game there for about 30 seconds to a minute. The Cavs looked like they had all the momentum in the world. And all of a sudden, Dennis Schroeder again. How many points did he have tonight? 14. But what? I think 6 of those came within the final 3 minutes.
Totally.
And he even had an assist to Al Horford. Dennis Schroeder down the stretch was absolutely critical in our win tonight. And what we saw out of the Celtics down the stretch, in particular, their defense and their offense working together. I know it didn't work together the whole night, and particularly on the offensive end of the floor early. That was rough. I mean, it was really rough. It was 39 to 37 at halftime. I mean, you really don't even hear about that kind of score in the NBA at half, and that was the story tonight. Yet, I don't know how much we can take out of this game still, because I sit back and I look at it in a grand view and go, well, we didn't have Robert Williams for the second half. They didn't have Jared Allen, and we don't have Jaylen Brown, who's obviously going to be a huge part of this team later on. So another game where, great, we got the win, but I don't know how much I can take out of this win.
It really is, Jason. I mean, I'm looking at the box score, and you got to think, like, if Grant Williams is giving you 11 points off the bench and Richardson's giving you 9, and you're getting all the support, obviously, Rob Will's 0. Then you got to think that takes a 8 to 10 point chunk out of the score, the box score. But it's really just if Jason Tatum can get in rhythm soon enough, because I think once that happens is when this team breaks through. I don't know if you guys follow these insiders, Celtics insiders, but they make a good point. They really have said that this team is just waiting to take off when Jason Tatum's ready to get going. And I think that's my final assumption. Like I said, we're not 20 games in yet, right? But this team is going to be as good as Jason Tatum is going to be, right? And the reason I say that is because, like I said, 23 points, 7 for 20, that's a mediocre game. That's a pretty poor game. And what do we get? We got a poor result, right? Obviously, we won, but it wasn't a win we're looking to get. Cleveland is a team we really should be beating right around 15 points. So I think it's really just obviously we got to get Brown back. That would be nice. But I think it's if Jason Tatum could get going. I mean, if Tatum's playing like he was playing in April last year, we're winning these games. Just no one's stopping us if Tatum can really get going. And I just don't know if that's going to happen soon.
It's mind-boggling.
Tatum 7 of 20 tonight, 35%. He did have a pretty efficient game, about 3 3/4 through the game, but obviously the 7 and 20 line isn't great. He wasn't particularly great in the fourth quarter either. Only 23 points tonight, but 5 assists. Jason Tatum, he has to break out of the slump at some point, because eventually, right now, it's really just, he's making the correct decisions now off the dribble, and he's being more aggressive, but he's still not hitting shots overall. And he's eventually, every star has these slumps, but he's just having a major one. The first, 15? Are we 15 games in now? 15 games.
Game 15 is against Atlanta, so 14.
Okay, so 14 into the season now, and he's still shooting just atrociously right now. And I would like to see him break out of the struggle, and that's really the last thing that you see, because with the Celtics defense, I thought tonight too, Tatum, I thought he was actually fairly good defensively tonight. I thought he was actually darting at the point of attack more often than not, and he actually took a few possessions on Rubio, who was absolutely hot tonight, 28 points. So Tatum, overall, I think he's trending in the right direction in many facets of his game. Just the one area you'd like to see him step up in is the one area that, kind of it produces the most points, making shots. He just has to make shots from now on.
I thought he's been great I thought he's been very good at playing defense and distributing the ball. I think that he really has improved on that. And I think you hit on the ball, Seamus, is that, that's not really the problem. The problem with Jason Tatum is that he's just not making shots. I mean, even open shots, Tatum's open for 3, and I'm holding my breath. I'm like, I don't know if that's going in, right? So it's like, you got to think. It's Jason Tatum. Like, it's got to fall eventually. It's just, is it going to come soon enough so we can start racking up these wins and moving up the standings?
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know the issue with Tatum shooting. Like, his shot doesn't look different. He's taking good shots. I mean, obviously he's also taking bad shots with his mid ranges and stuff like that, but that's just him. But I don't know what it is. Like, is it a mental thing? Like, do they have some mental blockage that just doesn't allow them to hit wide open shots? Like, it really is just a confusing thing. Like, I don't really know. Like, I mean, obviously I've never been an NBA player, so I'm not going to speak like I know what's going on. But I mean, it sounds simple, but how hard is it to hit wide open shots? Like, I mean, that's basically the difference right now. This team could be so much better than it is if they were just able to hit more wide open shots. Like, it's I hate to make it so simple, but it feels like that's the answer. Like, it feels like that's it. Like what else do we say about it? Like, the team is playing great defense, and I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's the play. No, you got it on the ball, Ian. It's that team's playing great defense, like you said, great. I mean, we're probably a top 5 defensive team in the league right now. Effort's there, defense is there. There's been a couple games, we got a pretty healthy team, despite Jalen and obviously Rob Will had some left knee soreness. But, it's there. We're just a step away from taking off. And that step, obviously, you got to get Brown in the lineup. And like I said, it might take 5 to 10 games once we get Brown in the lineup to get that flow again. That's a chance you might have to look at. But it's really just Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Offensively, they got to get going. And I understand it. No Jaylen Brown, right? If the offense is going to suck, it can suck right now, right? Brown's our leading scorer, right? So it's I hope and pray that Jason Tatum can start making some open shots, because the Celtics didn't shoot bad from the floor. 46% is a good percentage. You ought to think you shoot that more nights, and you're gonna win. And it's just Jason Tatum. I mean, 7 for 30. Or 7 for 20, and 2 for 8 from 3. Like, he's really weighing us down. I mean, Cantor 66%, Williams 57%, Richardson 66%. Horford 70%, Schroeder 45%, Smart 46%. Jason Tatum 35%. It's just, I mean, I think Tatum's just it's mind-boggling. This is my first time saying that. It's mind-boggling because the one guy you thought offensively wouldn't struggle is struggling big time, and it's holding the Celtics back from being an elite team, I think.
Yeah, and another thing to add on Jason Tatum too, in his continuous progressions in other areas of the game, like talking about his shots falling, and hopefully it comes along where Tatum is one day just back to his original self, where essentially every time he shoots it, you think it's going in. Tatum, his other progressions though, I mean, look at tonight, only 2 turnovers tonight. I thought that was pretty big. I know he's been averaging quite a few as of late, and then 7 for 7 from the free throw line too. Getting to the line 7 times, making all your free throws. That's great. And then 2 blocks and a steal too.
Yeah.
They had 2 huge blocks. I know one of them came a little bit later in the fourth quarter. That one was pretty big. Jason Tatum, I mean, it's really all about making shots. It's all about continuing to make the correct decisions and affecting the game in other areas. And the biggest question with me for Jason Tatum now, seeing that he's improving in his game, is can you do this next to Jaylen Brown now? And obviously we have to wait for that question, but that is we have to wait for that answer, but that's the next question that needs to be asked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Celtics' next 5 games right now, and I'm seeing I'm seeing the Hawks, the Lakers, the Thunder. So it's back, and we can pick up some wins real quick. I don't know which. Like I say, it's just hard to hit it on the nose, Justin. Right? Like we even how long? Like last season, we knew what it was. Right? This season, it's been a little bit more difficult to really hit it on the nose.
I just, expectations might have been higher this year with all the roster moves and the new head coach. And I got to admit, I'm missing the Brad Stevens after timeout plays a lot right now. I'm missing a lot of what Brad Stevens brought to the team. I was never one to bash Brad Stevens, but I still think it is a little bit early, like Rob said, 20 games. But again, in my opinion, how much longer can we be saying that? Because last season we've said that every single game. And it's similar to this year. I know it's early, but I just feel as if one game we look really, really good, right? We looked like, okay, everything's all good. We win the next game, we're on a little 2-game win streak. We're feeling good. And then we'll go on a 2 to 3 game losing streak and then a 2 to 3 game winning streak. And it's just all inconsistent yet consistent play. And I don't know how much longer this is going to go on here in Boston before major changes are made. I'm going to say it. Major changes are made. Whether that means a coaching change, I don't think it does. Whether that means a trade that we might not see coming, who knows? Brad Stevens says he's not going to wait to pull the trigger by the deadline. I don't know.
Well, I think the more interesting question sooner on, other than if major changes will be made later on down the road, because, quite honestly, I'm not going to say from not having Jaylen Brown and almost dropping 2 straight games in Cleveland that we're on a path towards, the duo being broken up and everyone shifting off and us going into a rebuild. But I think the interesting question moving forward is, well, two questions really. How soon can this team actually get healthy with now Robert Williams is presumably going to be out for who knows how long. I don't know if he'll play on Wednesday from knee soreness or not. Jaylen Brown is still, nursing his hamstring as well. So when can the Celtics get healthy? And also, what happens, as you said, at the deadline this year? Because are the Celtics eventually going to be sellers? Are they going to be buyers come that time? Or are they going? Because you have to answer that question for guys like Dennis Schroeder, who he's on a $5.6 million contract. We don't necessarily want to lose him for nothing in free agency. So you either give him the bag or ship him out now. But if you're in a spot to contend, or not really contend, but be in the playoffs and be in the mix, you're probably not going to do that. And I just wonder what this team looks like come January and how soon they can be healthy, because that's going to be, hand in hand. Because right now I know we say okay, we have to wait to 20 games, but
Yeah.
that's quite honestly if the team is healthy. And we're dealing with yet another season. We're 15 games in. We have not been healthy at all. We've been healthy for what, 3 games so far?
3 or 4.
And then we've had Al Horford miss time, Josh Richardson, Jaylen Brown, all those guys are key pieces, and they're missing a ton of time. And I don't know what you can say. That's really what we were dealing with last year. It's almost like we said earlier, the definition of insanity, just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And this is really just the loop that we're stuck in nowadays.
I agree, but I also think that, last season, obviously with Kemba Walker being in the lineup, that Kemba alone was a setback. I mean, he was just inconsistent. Defensively, he was bad. He could never stay healthy, right? And then I think
Never played back-to-backs.
Yeah, never played back-to-back, so that automatically put us at a disadvantage. I think obviously then Brown got hurt. That sucks. But, this season, we're 7-7, right? But like I said, the games we're losing, especially recently, the past 8 games, the games we've lost, they've just been like one minor tweak that you got to think that down the road we're going to fix that. And obviously, in regards to our health, I'm not too worried about it's just Jaylen Brown. And, you got to think he's at a point in his career where he's young. And is a hamstring injury going to be reoccurring? I hope not, right? But at the same time, it might be. It's just, I completely agree, Seamus. It's that if this team can get healthy, then we can truly assess what this team's going to be. Because right now, we don't have Jaylen Brown. And I'd say, we've been pretty solid, right? We look pretty solid without Jaylen Brown. So let's finally see if we can get you. Hopefully, Robert Williams isn't out next game against Atlanta. But
That'd be unfortunate.
But
is waiting.
I'd assume Brown is 100% going to play by the Lakers game at home. I just don't know if he will be ready to suit up Wednesday night against the Hawks. And you gotta hope and figure that he's ready to go.
I just want to see this team have some semblance of consistency, whether it either be good or bad. I'm just. I don't want to say I'm tired of it, but at the same time, this is what 2 or 3 years in a row of us saying the same things over and over again. If he was healthy, then we'd be so good. If he was healthy, we'd be so good. If we could find consistency, if we can hit shots. I know it's different personnel and different problems with each teams, but the themes themselves just feel like it's the same thing over and over and over again.
I don't know, man. I'm feeling pretty good.
Let's just think about it. Let's think about 2018. At least my opinion, I think me personally, this is when I think it started. I think it started in 2018 or 2018, 17, 18, whenever the year Tatum was drafted. I think it was 17, 18. But when Kyrie and Hayward went down, we said, if they were there, we could have made the finals. And then after that, the next year, we were all sorts of issues.
We're 5-2 in the last 7 games, though. That's
no, I know. It's just
I feel like for not having Jaylen Brown.
We're 5.
We have been good, and I'm just saying it's just how much longer are we going to keep saying I know we can't control injuries, but come on, man.
I agree in some sense, but obviously we dug ourselves into a 2-6 hole. But I also do think that you don't start off 2-6, right? You can't really say that, but say the season started after 2-6, right? After the Bulls game, you think you're 5-2. Your 2 losses came off of a buzzer beater and a game where you had no Brown, Horford, or Richardson, and the bench blew it. But something I got to say here, guys, is that it's a long season, right? So if we're going to come sit here, it's 14 games in, after the Celtics actually have looked a lot better than they've ever looked in the past 365 days, and say, it's inconsistent. Are we really inconsistent, though? Are we playing inconsistent if we're 5-2?
I don't know, Rob. It's just but the thing is, Rob, we didn't start. We didn't start that way.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. And I know we can say if we did, we would be better and we wouldn't have to be talking about this. but we didn't. And
Well,
I mean, I know we don't have Jaylen Brown, and I know we don't have this.
6.
Yes, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I'm just
I
saying
see your point.
It's still it's still hard to be. It's still hard to think that we're still at this point where we're consistently inconsistent.
Well,
like
I just think the Celtics fans have this false reality that we're gonna go 500, then we're going boom 12-game win streak. That's not really how you get out.
I know.
Of the hole.
I've never thought of that, but it's just
my point is
but it just feels like every time we do it.
Seamus always says it's building blocks, right? You know, yeah, you're gonna lose a game. You're gonna hit 500 and lose a game on the crawl back.
You know why I think this? A lot of Celtics fans have that narrative where, all right, you know, we just won this game, incoming 12-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Because back when we started 0-2, we went on a
historic run. I
think ever since then, people think it is. I mean, it's very possible. We've seen incredible runs throughout the league. We saw the Warriors. We've seen the Celtics do it. We've seen the Cavaliers do it.
The Rockets do
you know, the Houston Rockets do. We've seen terrific teams do it. The Celtics, maybe they can do it, but I don't think. I think that's very
just
unlikely.
A realistic way that they come back. It's like you gotta sit here and think. No, Jaylen Brown through 7 games. We're 5-2. We're 3 games over 500. You replicate that, right? And all of a sudden you're 10-4 in the past 14 games, and that's really good basketball. So I think we've been a little too down in this post-game show. Celtics came out with a win. Cleveland's a team that's been really, really, really chippy. They've been
they're 6-1 in their last 7 games. By the way, people forget that
6-2 in their last 8 now.
Yeah, Cleveland has put their head down and really grinded these games out. In like an 82-game season, these games are going to have guess what, guys? Newsflash. This type of win is going to be at least 10 more times this season. And, you know, I think right now as a Celtics fan,
I agree. And people got to understand, though, Celtics are under 500. It might have not been the prettiest win, but you take what you can get when you're under 500. I think the offense, 46% and the Celtics scored 98. The Celtics missed a lot of wide open shots tonight. Remember, that was one of my keys to the game. You got to hit open shots. Celtics did miss a lot of open shots tonight. But again, their defense is so good, at least these past 7 games, that they were able to really withhold the Cleveland Cavaliers. And like Seamus said earlier, Ricky Rubio was not the Ricky Rubio we saw in his so-called prime. Shetty Osman hit some tough shots. Ricky Rubio hit some tough shots. I saw Seamus point out we're living in 2021 and we're seeing Al Horford and Ricky Rubio duke it out. I mean, the Celtics, I think tonight, yes, you know, it is a building block, and they did not have the prettiest game. But you kind of got to look at the positives here. That 14 turnovers, yes, it's still a fairly high number. It did out-turnover the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the Celtics, I believe, had 8 in either the first quarter or the first half. I can't remember exactly what it was. And they calmed down in the second half. They played a lot more controlled in the second half than they did in the first game. I think, again, Cleveland hit some very tough shots down the stretch. I mean, there was one where Ricky Rubio leaned into, I think it was Horford, and just nothing but net. You kind of live with those.
Yeah.
And
it's a long season.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Rob's point. We're being way too down on this win, because at the end of the day, a win is a win. And we started out what were we to start out the season? What was our lowest percentage of winning? Like, what was our lowest winning percentage? What was our lowest?
Was it not 42%?
I just said that alive.
Was it
Baccaradum? I just said that live. Let me just point that out real quick. We're gonna have to replay that one. But the Celtics didn't start out too hot. What are they? 5-2 in their last 7 games. Obviously, we don't have to go on a huge winning streak like some people think. Like, I knew you mentioned the 16-game winning streak after starting 0-2. Those winning streaks are very rare in the NBA. Very rarely do we see them go on a 15-plus game winning streak and then, you know, obviously be a 500 team like us. The goal that we should be setting, and this is kind of what I've been on all season, is the building blocks of just many winning streaks. So basically, four game winning streaks, 3 game winning streaks, put two together. If you lose one, put another two together, like we've been doing as of late. We lost that game to the Cavs, but we were 4-1 going into that game, and I over the last 5 games coming into that game, and I like the position in which the team is at from a development standpoint, but I still have major questions about number one, health, because I have questions about Al Horford's health later in the season. I know he looks fresh now, but he obviously missed a game on Saturday due to lower back pain. Kind of not concerning, but he is 35. Robert Williams, knee injury, WTF? What? Robert Williams is hurt like every game, but he comes back, and tonight he did not. And I don't know. I've always had questions about his health, and we talked a lot about it before the game. So ironic that it happened the night that we were praising.
Yeah, I know. I texted you guys, and I was like, what are the odds that Rob Will goes down right after we were just praising him for how healthy and good he's been?
I mean, you can even throw Josh Richardson in there. Luckily, he stayed healthy tonight, but he's missed some time as well. I mean, he'd come back, play one game, play a really good game or two, and then all of a sudden we don't see him for another game or two. So, that's another thing you're going to have to question, and I'm sure that's something I don't think Brad Stevens can do that really. I don't think he would do that, trade if you're unhealthy, because I don't know how the value would go. Compared to obviously if a Josh Richardson was healthy. But, it does depend on, like Seamus said, Celtics, we really have to rely on the Celtics being healthy. But, at the same time, we can't control that. It's one of those things where it's like we kind of cross our fingers. And tonight, clearly not all 4 of us didn't cross all 10 of our fingers and all 10 of our toes. And Robert Williams goes out, of course, and gets injured.
Well, I think it's much, much worse right now, real quick, Seamus, is that just because Brown's out of the lineup, right? You got to think that if Brown's playing, you think that a Romeo Langford injury or a Richardson doesn't hurt as much. I just think it's the fact that you eliminate Brown from the scenario and you really need Richardson and Romeo playing. And then, so Brown's out, that really hurts. That really bleeds, because then you're going into your reserves. Then you're going into your true bench pieces that shouldn't be getting minutes but have to. Because that wound's a little too deep with Brown out. So I think once Brown comes back, a Richardson missed game, obviously not ideal here and there, but it's doable.
It's manageable.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my second question with this team too: is what will the team look like when Jaylen Brown comes back? Because the major question that we had outside of, obviously the whole offensive problems and some of the defensive mishaps that we had over the first 5 to 10 games of the season when Jaylen Brown was in, was can Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum function together in the same offense? And right now, I love the progression from our team in terms of defensively, in terms of Josh Richardson is now stepping up. Al Horford continues his surge. Marcus Smart looks great defensively all of a sudden. Well, really over the past couple of weeks. And now we're not getting results. We're not getting data from Tatum and Brown together because Brown's out. And that's really the most frustrating part about this particular Celtics stretch is we look good on paper from our bench. From the bench standpoint, from the role player standpoint, we look good. But then again, Tatum's not hitting shots and Brown is still not out there. And those two guys are really, at the end of the day, I mean, it's a star-driven league. When we get into the playoffs, if we get to the playoffs, those two guys are going to be the main 2 pieces that either bring us a title, maybe not this season, but later on down the line, or, have us sputter out in the first, second round, maybe even the conference finals again, and we never win a title for them. And it's really going to depend on those two guys, and they're the main story, yet one of them's not out there and one of them's not making shots right now, so we have no inclination on what is going to happen there.
Is there a play-in tournament this year? Did they keep that?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they kept it. So is this a thing that they're going to keep, or?
Oh no, I personally don't like it. That's just
why? Wait. We should have a mini argument over this. What is this? Wait, why do you not like the play-in tournament?
I think that a 10 seed doesn't deserve a chance to get in. I think that there's a lot of games. There's 82 games to earn yourself a spot. Why is it that the 8th seed should lose that spot because the 10 seed was 2.5 games back. That's
So
what
what
make
if
the
there's a
basketball.
what if there's a hypothetical situation, although this sounds really rare, where they're all tied? Then do you care? Then it's like all up in the air, or do you still think like?
I mean, listen, you give a team 82 games, they got to get to the top 8 teams. I think that a play-in tournament, it sets up for, yeah, it's good for views, sure. But at the same time, like I said, 82 games, you mean to tell, like, look at last year. The Warriors were the 8th seed, but they didn't get in. I mean, you mean to tell me that, and sure, you can make the argument, well, they didn't win the one game to get in, but they took care of business on the other 82 to get in. So why is it that all of a sudden this, even playoff series, there's 7-game series. Why is all of a sudden it's winner go home, winner takes all? Like, that's just nonsense to me.
That's a really good argument. I think the play-in tournament is good revenue-wise for the NBA. I mean, it just adds. I mean, think about the games that happen. This is just looking at it from a money standpoint. But you have like 6 game 7s right there, all in one little tournament right before the playoffs. All those teams are playing for their lives every single game, except for that 7-8 matchup. But I kind of agree with you on the 10 seed part. The West this year, I believe the 10 seed coming into today was the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
Which the West, I think you look at 1 through 9. 1 through 9 looks pretty solidified. I mean, they're going to jockey everywhere. But then you look at number 10 and you go, Kings, Timberwolves, Pelicans. I don't really like any of those teams right now. Yeah. So I kind of agree with you on that. But what if I would almost like it if it was you played to get into the 8 spot. It was the 8-9 play-in, and then 7 and 8 played for 7 and 8, rather than 7 and 8 played for 7 and 8, and then they have to go face either the 9 and 10 seed. That would eliminate the 10 seed.
Well, do you remember what they did in the bubble? Where they had the 10 and 9 seed, and the 9 seed had to win 1 game, and the 10 seed had to win 2, and then they played the 9 against the 8, and I think that's a lot better, to be honest. But then the 8 seed just wins 1 game, and the 9 seed has to win 2. So
but isn't that it's the winner of 7-8 gets the 7 spot?
Yeah, and then the winner of 10, the winner of 10-9 gets 9, and then the winner of 8-9 gets 8.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like if there's a tie at 8-9, sure, you can maybe let them duke it out. But even still, like I said, like there's a reason why they get the edge in the standing. It's because they've done either they've scored more, point differentials higher, they beat them head to head. It's like, why leave it up to 1 game fate? Your star players got to play through it. Like, there's so many factors that could come in and kind of put a team at a disadvantage. They shouldn't be, because 82 games they were better than them.
Yeah, but could you imagine like a Cinderella story where a team is a 10 seed and they go all the way to the finals and win it all? And
the Celtics, they're at the 10 spot.
The Celtics are at the 10 spot. That's true. Maybe I should be vouching for my Celtics at this point.
Yeah,
that might be where we're heading.
See, don't diss the play-in until your team is in it. So
exactly.
I'd love to get the 8 seed and play
Bucks. Bucks and the Hawks behind us.
I mean, you got to think how much longer is the Eastern Conference standing going to hold up the way it is? Washington 1, Cleveland 5. Is this set in stone? Are the Wizards legit? That's what the guys.
I don't think it is set in stone, but I am a little bit surprised that we're heading into Game 15 for most of these teams, if not all of these teams, and we're still at Atlanta 13th in the East, 5 and 9. I didn't expect them to be obviously God's tier great, but a lot of people had them between the 3 seed to the maybe 5 or 6 seed. Boston 7 and 7. You see teams like Charlotte, Toronto, Cleveland, even Washington ahead of them. Come March, April, May. I don't think so, but Washington's holding up pretty well. 9 and 3.
10 and 3 now.
10 and 3.
But yeah,
Milwaukee 6 and 8. Yeah, they're a little bit banged up, but
they've been banged up. They've been really injured.
And then look at the West. Like, wow. Golden State 11 and 2. They lost their second game last night. I just thought it was.
Wow. Yeah, but it's kind of interesting with the Wizards because it looks like they've only beaten like 2 teams. They beat Milwaukee, and they beat Brooklyn.
Milwaukee right now, Brooklyn's a good one. Milwaukee right now is so injured that they're not really even considered a tough matchup.
Exactly. So, these are their wins. Their wins have come from Toronto, the Pacers in overtime, the Nets, the Celtics twice.
Celtics and the Hawks, I think they beat 4 times combined. So 4 of their 10 wins against the Hawks and or
they
Celtics
lost to they beat the Hawks twice, lost to Toronto.
Wait.
They beat the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies don't play any defense. They beat the Bucks, who are injured. They beat the Cavs by 3 on that Kuzma game winner, and they beat the Magic and the Pelicans.
I know it's still early to really talk standings and game in playoffs and all that, but we've talked about this before. The Celtics from the 1 seed right now are 3 games back. It's still early on. Celtics, think of it, from the top seed of the Eastern Conference to the bottom seed of the play-in tournament in the Eastern Conference through 15 games is a 3-game gap. That is what you as a Celtics fan, yes, you're sitting here leaning between under 500 to 500, haven't really quite got over the hump yet. And then you look at the standings and you're like, oh, wow, we're actually not as far behind as, we might look on the standings.
Can I long-term guarantee something right now?
I don't know. Can you whisper it before you say it out loud?
Seamus has been solid on his guarantees as of
late. I got that today. I got that with Seamus. I got that with Seamus.
Yeah, but didn't you say blowout though? You didn't say.
No, I said I guarantee to win. I guarantee to win, and I guarantee I went 3-3 on my. I didn't guarantee a blowout. I said in the group chat this morning that I feel as if the Celtics are going to blow them out tonight.
Is 9 a blowout? Almost.
No. I don't know.
What do you consider a blowout in the NBA?
I consider a blowout. I consider a blowout over 15.
Yeah, that's
15 plus.
I think that's
a blowout to me. So
to be fair,
I don't call this game a blowout. I call this game lucky that the Cavs choked down the.
I think stretch, one possession, a whole game within 2 possessions.
I think anything within 9 points or less, anything single digits is not a blowout. I don't know why people say that. Some people are like, "Oh, a 9-point game's a blowout." It's not a blowout. It's 3 3-pointers, and today's game that's really close.
They have definitions on the NBA. The reason I had Romeo Langford missing from a stat post the other day, and it was because he wasn't eligible for the stat leaderboard. So you have to play 70% of games. It's kind of weird how the NBA they define a lot of. So what were we just talking about? Definition of blowout in the NBA. We're looking this up right on the spot.
See, I think 20-9. That's
an
only
easy
11.
Or one-sided victory. So there's no official definition from the NBA.
That's 20-9. Is that a blowout to you, or does it just look lopsided? I think it just looks lopsided, but it's not I don't think it's a blowout.
When you're up 71-59, you're only up.
Yeah, you're only or it's 30-19. It looks like a blowout, but it's not a blowout at all.
Well, let's do some over under here.
Whoa! I haven't made my.
We all went 0 for 3.
This is about the standings.
Except for you, Rob. You got 1.
Move on, but
yes, sir.
Wait, how did Rob get the 1?
Because he said under on Horford. Gotta stop with these 3 stats things.
No, but he got 3 assists, though.
We established before the show that it's either he hit it or he didn't. That's why I took the under.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen up. The Boston Celtics will not finish behind the Philadelphia 76ers in the standing.
Where are they now?
Happening. Okay, the 76ers, no Ben Simmons, no true playmaker. Joel Embiid, always hurt.
Oh, Tyrese Maxey, though.
Tyrese Maxey,
you got to look at it. Really, really, but he's been good.
They're losers of the last 4, and I still believe their roster has a lot of holes in it overall. We're better than the 76ers. Over time, I think that'll prove itself. We're going to finish above them in the standings this year. Mark it down. We're 10th right now. I think they're 6th.
You heard the man. Celtics will finish higher than the Philadelphia 76ers. Celtics take on the Atlanta Hawks for a chance to finally peak over the 500 mark for the first time this season. This tip-off is at right around 7:30, 40. You come back here for pregame live. Every game we're covering, pretty much every game. There might be a couple throughout the season where we, whether it's the second night of a back-to-back or whatever it may be, we might cancel, but that will be
Celtics
posted.
Lakers probably won't do
Hang
it.
on. Can I make one announcement?
actually
Can I
going to
make
that
one
game.
announcement before you guys sign off here?
Yes.
Iman Shumpert is the first ex-NBA player to ever advance to the finals of Dancing with the Stars. So,
shout out.
and the only reason why he's there is because LeBron keeps tweeting him out every week. So,
all right. Well, like I said, go follow us on Instagram at Celtics Talk Weekly. Ticket giveaway if you didn't know about that. Go follow us on Twitter. Celtics_weekly. We're very active over there now, actually, because we got someone managing that for us. Because God forbid, Justin and I actually
shout out David.
shout out David. David's for sure. David's been great. We'll be back here, guys, Wednesday night for the Hawks game. Big one. Like I said, I'll be at the Friday game against the Lakers, so I'll see hopefully some fans there, guys. We'll catch you later.